Good morning, everyone. We are very glad to welcome you to this IP4SME service implementation webinar for beneficiaries of the cutoff 5th and 6th. My name is Andrea Udrea, and I'm project coordinator at Gopacom, a communications agency in Brussels that is partner in the IP4SME consortium. Today, our webinar presenter will be Marco Graziadio from CARSA, the IP4SME consortium leader. Throughout the webinar, you can write questions in the GoToWebinar question box. This will be addressed at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to use this question box. Regarding any specific questions, this will be followed up individually by email by the IP4SME Coordination Center. So I would like you to have a very interesting webinar, and Marco, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and hello to everybody, and especially for all the beneficiary of Cutoff 6, welcome on board of IPA4SME. I am Marco Graziadio from CARSA, Innovation Consultant, and I am glad to be here today to explain you how to proceed in order to benefit the most from IPA4SME support services in an easy and efficient way. Andrea, in case I'm facing some problems or beneficiary, they are telling us that we are facing some problem in listening the audio, please let me know. So for today's presentation, I'm going to use the guide for beneficiary, the cutoff call 6th edition. And after that, before to take care of the question that you are asking me, I'm going to present the frequently asked question that we usually receive it during the different cutoff calls, in order to explain again the most important instruction or the most important information that the beneficiary has to know. So before to start with the guide, I would like to point out which is the mission, or let's say, which is the idea behind this program. Basically, the European Commission strongly believes that the protection of intellectual properties is crucial for promoting innovation and for improving European SME competitiveness. For this reason, the main goal of IPA4SME is to facilitate the promotion of intellectual property through 3 different support services. One is called the EP pre-diagnostic service, and then there are 2 co-financing services. The target beneficiary are SME, which have received a seal of excellence from the Horizon 2020 SME Instrument Program. So I would like to point out that at the end of this webinar, thanks to the contribution of Andrea, we are going to send you by email the guide for beneficiary, together with the presentation of the frequently asked question, and also the link of the record webinar. So before starting, it's really important to emphasize to our beneficiary that, especially the beneficiary who have been awarded to receive more than one service, is that beneficiary has not forced to follow any particular order in completing the service. So this means that SME can make use of all the services in parallel or one after the other. This situation is really important, especially for the beneficiary who has been awarded with service 1, the EP pre-diagnostic service, because different times happened that they were afraid to don't benefit, that they were not allowed to benefit from service 2 or service 3 before completing service 1. This is not, let's say, a rules. You can benefit from service 2 or service 3, even if you are still in the process of completing service 1. It is true that, on my point of view, is really important, especially for the beneficiary of service 1, to complete the EP pre-diagnostic before starting to activate service 2 and service 3, because the scope of service 1 is is to provide you important suggestion and recommendation to explain you if it's necessary or not register your patent. But again, you can start to activate service 2 and service 3 even if you are not completing service 1. This is the same for who benefit from service 3 and service 2. You can start service 3 even if you did not activate service 2. So the use of MEMS. So all support services will be managed through the IPA4SME electronic submission system. As you can see in this slide, there is a specific link in which you can log in into the EMS, and then visiting my project section under my area menu, you will find all the important information about the support services that you have been awarded. And then in this specific area called my project, clicking on this area, you will find a specific space called Go to Support Documentation under the area, the action column. In this screen, you will find the two sections. The most important, in my point of view, is support documentation, because basically this is the area where beneficiary of service 2 and service 3 has to upload all the required documents in order to activate service 2 and service 3 and then receive, in case, the reimbursement. Also in the Go to Support documentation, there is a second space that is called the reimbursement, in which basically is a place designed for beneficiary to provide the necessary financial information that we need to collect once we validated the activation of service 2 and service 3, because thanks to this information we can proceed with the reimbursement. Please keep in mind that during the entire process, beneficiary will be asked to complete a series of surveys as part of their award. As you can see in the following table, table 1, basically, as I said before, beneficiary has to complete a series of surveys, and the information and above all the time frame of each of these surveys is included in this table. It's really important to keep in mind that all beneficiary of service 1, but also the one that receives service 2 or service 3, has to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. That is mandatory to complete before you can start to benefit from each of the services awarded. As you can see below, the guide also provides you a brief description of the survey and their scope. But again, it's really important that you are going to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment before each of any service can start. I think I can start to explain you in detail how to benefit from the different service, and I will start with service 1, also called the EP pre-diagnostic service. As I explained you before, within IPA4SME, we are going to offer you 3 specific services. The first one is called EP pre-diagnostic, also known as service 1, and is focused on providing you advice to boost your SME IP capabilities and competencies. This service is totally free of charge, so every cost is going to be paid by the coordination center. And how you can see in page number 10 in this figure, there is a specific workflow that is consisting of 5 main steps. The first one, as I said before, is the completion of the IPA4SME self-assessment. without which the service cannot begin. And then once you complete this document, once we collect this document, we are starting to facilitate the initial contact between beneficiary and the expert. So this step, that is the designation of IP pre-diagnostic expert, really depends of the country where the SME is located. So for all the SME located in countries such as Austria, Denmark, France, Germany, Netherlands, and Spain, the expert will be assigned directly by the national IP office. In this case, how the service works. Once we collected the IPA4SME self-assessment, we contact the national IP office. We are going to send them the self-assessment survey, and we are going to ask them to assign you an expert. So in this case, it can happen that directly the expert is going to contact you, and then once contact, you can start to schedule a possible meeting. Instead, for all those SME located in countries such as Greece, Latvia, Ireland, Italy, and Sweden, there are two possible situations. The first one is that we provide you a list of qualified experts with general information about general information of them, and starting from this list of experts, you have to select the expert that you think is the most suitable for you. In some cases, for example, Ireland, Italy, it's happened that sometimes we are going to assign you directly an expert. In this case, you are going to receive an email from the coordination center with all the information you need to know about the expert. In this email, we will go to find the email to contact the expert together with the description of the expert. In any case, if you are noticing that after, let's say, 2 weeks from the communication of award, you never receive any email from the national IP office or from the coordination center, what you have to do is to contact us and to highlight that you didn't receive anything yet. So once an expert have been, let's say, assigned or you choose a specific expert, the beneficiary can start to contact the expert and in order to schedule a possible meeting for the implementation of the service. As you can see in step point 4, the process works like that. Once the beneficiary schedule a possible meeting, usually in the past the meeting was scheduled was a face-to-face meeting, but since the outbreak of the virus, in some cases the expert or the beneficiary asked to schedule a video call meeting. This already happened during the previous cutoff, and I would like to emphasize that all beneficiaries, but also the expert, they were really satisfied of the services received or provided. So please keep in mind that even if you are going to schedule a Skype call meeting, the final result of the services will be quite the same of the one to schedule a meeting face-to-face. So as you can see, usually once the expert received the self-assessment survey, in which he's going just to gain an initial understanding of your IP situation, there is the second step in which the expert is going to have an interview with the beneficiary that usually can take between 2 and 4 hours. And as I said before, can be done virtually if both parties agree on it, but or face-to-face. Then, after the interview, the expert will deliver you the most important result of the complete analysis in a report, and is going to explain you or suggest you what is the best to do in order to boost your active business strategy. I would like to point out that in the report you are going to receive the most important information about your business strategy in order to boost your competitiveness. Just a second. I hope that now the sound is better. Please, Andrea, let me know. So I was saying that basically the interview does not take more than 4 hours, and after that you are going to receive a report collecting the most important information, a recommendation about the importances to, let's say, register your patent application in order to boost your businesses. In the report, mainly beneficiary will obtain a clear diagnostic of beneficiary business in terms of IP, and also a clear overview of opportunities and limitations to foster and boost the intellectual property advantage, and also recommendation to exploit the benefit related to the IP. Please keep in mind that, as I said before, service 1 is totally free of charge. So any costs are supported by the coordination center. It's really important also to keep in mind that, as I said a few times, the meeting usually can take between 2 and 4 hours. So before to scheduling a possible meeting, please take in consideration the time to complete the interview, because it's really important that the expert is going to collect all the information during the interview. To complete service 1, there is a specific time frame that you have to respect. So the IP pre-diagnostic service should be completed within 4 months of the date of communication of the support services award. That for all the beneficiaries of cutoff 6 was the 8th October 2020. So within the 8th February 2021, service 1 should be completed. In case you are facing any specific problem, always please keep in mind that you can contact us, and in order to highlight the problem that you are facing, we will try to do our best in order to help you to address your problem. So we can move to the 2 co-financing services. So service 2, also called a partial reimbursement of European Patent Office, is a service focused on providing you economic support to cover a percentage of SME patent application fee during an European Patent Office registration. Before to explain how to benefit from this service, please keep in mind that our support exclusively covers European patent registration process, which for the purpose of IPA4SME is defined as filling an application for a patent before the EPO covering more than 2 European member states. Through this service, beneficiary can receive the 75% of the EPO fee cost up to a maximum of euro 2,500 for each patent application. So again, just to keep in mind that you are going to, in case everything is fine for us, you can receive the 75% of your EPO fee cost up to a maximum of 2,500 euro for each patent application. So how you can see in this page number 12, also in this case, but also in the case of Service 3, the work plan always consists of 5 main steps. First of all, as I said before, first step is to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. Please keep in mind that to complete this survey does not require more than 5 minutes, so please complete it as soon as possible in order that we are going to collect it. You can go to start to benefit from the different services. So once you complete the IPA self-assessment, we can say that Service 2 can begin. However, please keep in mind that it's really important to understand that Service 2, but also Service 3, being awarded doesn't mean that the Service 2 and 3 are activated. For this reason, I personally consider the activation of the service as the most important step that we have to understand. So let's go how to activate the service. So to activate the service, a beneficiary must provide within, also in this case, a time frame of 4 months, starting from the date of communication of award, valid documentation. And beneficiary has to upload this documentation on EMS portal. Valid documentation, as we will see later, consists of an invoice together with its corresponding proof of payment, which must meet specific requirements that we will be discussing soon. Before to move to explain you what are the requirements that we are looking for, it's important to explain you how is work our time frame and the extension condition. So as you can see in figure 3, all the beneficiaries of cutoff 6 received the communication of award the last 8th of October. With this day, you will have 4 months to activate Service 2, which means that you will have until the 10th of February 2021 to activate Service 2. That, as I said before, activate means to provide us documentation that meets specific requirements. Once you activate Service 2, you will have until the end of the project, that is the 31 December 2021, to provide us documentation for a second payment request. So I will go to explain this part again because it's really important. So every beneficiary received the communication of award the last 8th of October. With this day, you will have 4 months to activate the service. So means that until the 8th of February 2021. But once you activate the service, you will have until the 31 December 2021. That is also the date when this program will finish to provide us documentation for a second payment request. However, there is an extension condition which are valid only for the beneficiary who received both Service 2 and Service 3 during the same cutoff. And this extension condition basically say that in case you received both Service 2 and Service 3 during the same cutoff, in case you are going to activate the Service 2 within the time, the deadline, directly you will receive additionally 4 months to activate the missing service. So let's say that I am the company Carsa, beneficiary of Service 2 and Service 3 during the cutoff call 6. I'm going to provide on EMS documentation that meets specific requirements before the 8th of February. If the coordination center is going to validate this documentation, this leads that the Service 2 is activated. And since I am beneficiary also of the Service 3, I will benefit automatically from additional 4 months to activate the missing service, that in this case is Service 3. So I will have until the 8th of June to activate the missing service, that is the Service 3. So please keep in mind that in case you are not able to activate Service 3 2, but also Service 3 within 4 months, the support service will be automatically cancelled. In case we are going to, let's say, in case we are going to cancel your services, please keep also in mind that even if the service is cancelled, you can reapply to the IPA4SME open calls without any specific penalization. In case you are not able to benefit from the service, usually we request you to inform us by sending an email to calls @IPA4SME.eu in case you decide to stop using the EPO patent application process. So we can move, after explaining you the time frame, we can move to the step-by-step process to activate the service. So again, first step is to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. Then there is a second step, that is the activation of the Service 2. With regard to, so as I said before, to activate the service, basically you have to provide us on EMS invoice together with the corresponding proof of payment. With regard to the invoice, as you can see here, there can be two possible options. Option A is when the EPO patent registration is made by an IP attorney on behalf of the beneficiary company. In this case, to consider valid an invoice, the invoice, first of all, must be dated after the date of the communication of award. That, for the beneficiary of cutoff 6, is the 8th October 2020. So if we are going to receive invoices dated before this day, we are sorry, but we cannot validate the invoice. Then the invoice must include the following information. First of all, the name of the patent attorney who provides you the service. Then the patent application process, namely the title of the invention or the IP number being protected. And then the invoice must include also information about the EPO debit order number that you covered during the registration. As you can see in the table number 2, only the following EPO included in this table are eligible for reimbursement. So only code 001, 002, 5, 6, 7, 33 are considered eligible to receive a reimbursement. For these reasons, when you are going to provide us on EMS the invoice in order to activate service 2, please keep in mind that the invoice must include also information about the service the EPO fee covered during the registration. Without this information, we cannot validate the invoice. If we are not going to validate the invoice, you cannot activate the service. So again, to activate the service, we need to collect a valid IP attorney invoice that for the beneficiary who decide to register the patent application by asking the service by an IP attorney on behalf of the beneficiary, the invoice must be dated after the date of the communication of award, and the invoice must include information about the patent attorney who provided you the service, the patent application process, which is the title of the invention or the IP number being protected, but also information related to the EPO debit order number covered during the registration. We don't need to receive invoices translated in English. I mean that, for example, if you are a company located in Spain, you can easily provide us the invoice in Spanish. However, in order to facilitate the reimbursement process, we kindly ask you to include in the invoice the following model statement that is in English, in order, as I said before, to facilitate the reimbursement process. As you can see in this model statement, you have just to include information about the title of invention or the IP being protected, the EPO application number, the code of the services that you cover during the registration, which are the code including in this table, the name of the patent attorney, beneficiary, and if you can also include the PIC number. Related to the start date and end date, this information are not necessary for us. So in case you don't know or you don't remember when the registration service started, don't be worried. The information that we really needed to recollect, as I said before, is the name of the patent attorney, EPO codes, title of the invention, and the date of the invoice. Then there is also a second option, that is option number B. Option B, sorry, that is when the EPO registration has been made directly by the beneficiary company. So in this case, if you don't need a patent attorney to register your patent application, what we need to collect from you is the valid EPO debit order submission confirmation. Beneficiary can only be reimbursed once they have the PDF document of the debit order submission, which also in this case must include the date of the registration or when you receive this valid EPO debit order submission. But also in this case, the date to validate, we are going to validate only the EPO debit order submission confirmation, in which the date is after the date of the communication award. And then the valid EPO debit order number to be validated must include information about the patent application process, and also the EPO debit order number covered during the registration. Please keep in mind that for who decide to register the patent application directly without the helping of the patent attorney, please keep in mind that it's really important to save or print the confirmation, the EPO debit order submission confirmation, immediately after submitting the online debit order in the EPO online filing system, as you will not be able to do this later. So, as I did for service for option A, I will repeat also again how it works. What we need to collect from beneficiary who decided to directly register the patent application. So in this case, to validate or to activate service 2, we need to collect the valid EPO debit order number, submission confirmation, including information regarding the patent application process, which means the title of the invention or the IP being protected, together with the EPO debit order number covered during the registration. And also we need to check if the date of the submission is dated after the date of the communication award. That again, for beneficiary of service cutoff 6 is the 8th of October. So together with the invoice, to activate service 2, we must collect also the corresponding proof of payment. Only bank transfer receipts which clearly indicate the name of the beneficiary, the IP patent attorney, and the invoice number will be accepted. So again, together with the invoice, we must collect the corresponding proof of payment, in which should appear information related to the name of the beneficiary, IP patent attorney, and invoice number. And we are going to accept only bank transfer receipts. Also in this case, the date of the payment must be after the date of the communication of IPA4SME support. So, when we received this documentation, we are going to revise them, and in case the documentation meet all the requirements that I described before, all in this case, we are going to mark the documentation as valid, and all in this case, the service can be considered activated. Once the service is activated, as I said at the beginning before, beneficiary will have until the end of the project to provide us new invoices. So they can basically request a second payment request. But it's important to understand that the second payment request must be always associated to the same IP patent number or title for which you activate the service. Please keep in mind that service to reimbursement are limited to 2 requests. When you activate the service, please keep in mind that during the second request, you have to submit as many invoices and proof of payment or debit order confirmation available for that you have in process, because after we are going to validate the second request, it will not be possible for you to request a third payment request. So once you receive the documentation, we validate, we mark it as valid, so the documentation is activated. you basically receive an email from the coordination center in which you are going to inform you that the service 2 in this case is activated. Once we mark the documentation as valid, it will be allowed to you to upload on EMS the financial information. That is a model statement in which we are going to collect information to proceed with the reimbursement. Please keep in mind that depending on the period, we usually try to do our best to reimburse you as soon as possible, but usually this process takes no less than 15 days. But again, we are trying to do our best to pay you, to reimburse you as soon as possible. So we can move to service 3. Service 3 also know how partial reimbursement of IP patent attorney is a service in which basically focuses on providing you financial support to cover the cost for hiring an IP patent attorney for the purpose of preparing the filing for a European patent, but we are going also to cover the cost in case you decide, together with your patent attorney, to discontinue an initial idea of patent application. So again, because this is really important that the beneficiary understand that within service 3, we are going to cover the cost for hiring an IP patent attorney for the purpose of preparing the filing for a European patent process, but also we are going to cover you the cost in case you decide to discontinue an initial idea of patent application. Within this service, we are going to cover the 50% of the cost up to a maximum of €2,000 per patent application. And also in this case, our support exclusively covers European patent registration process. However, as I'm going to explain you later, only for service 3, we can cover not only the European patent registration process done through the EPO, but we can only reimburse PCT patent application, but we are going to cover you the PCT patent application only if you register this always through the EPO office. But as you will say before, later, I will explain you this part again. So how is work service 3? The work flow again consists of 5 main steps. First of all, again, the competition of IPA4SME self-assessment. Before to go ahead, I would like to explain you that in case you are beneficiary of more than one service, in this case, we are going to request you to complete the IPA4SME only one time. So in case you are a beneficiary of service 1, 2, or 3, it's not mandatory to complete the survey 3 times. Only one time is enough. So once you complete the IPA4SME self-assessment, you can start to benefit from service 3. Also, in this case, the most important step, in my point of view, is the activation of the service. The time frame, also in this case, is the same that we see together during the service 2, but I'm going to explain for all the beneficiaries that are more interested in service 3. So also in this case, there is a specific time frame that you have to respect, and also in this case, you will have 4 months to activate service 3. Activate service 3 also in this case means to provide us all EMS invoice together with the corresponding proofs of payment. Once you activate the service, you will have until the end of the project that is set on the 31 December 2021 to provide us documentation for a second payment request. However, in case you are beneficiary of both Service 2 and Service 3, also in this case, if you activate Service 3 in time, you will have automatically additionally 4 months to activate the missing service. That in this case will be Service 2. So I am the company CARSA, beneficiary of both Service 2 and Service 3 awarded during the same cutoff. I will provide to the coordination center an invoice together with the corresponding proof of payment. The coordination center is going to validate my documentation, so I am able to activate Service 3. Once I did this, since I am beneficiary of also Service 2, automatically I will receive 4 months to activate Service 2, which means that I will have until the 8th of June to activate Service 2. Once the service is activated, I can provide documentation for a second payment request, and to do it, I will have until the 31 December 2021 to request a second payment request. So, to activate the service, also in this case, we need to collect a valid invoice together with the corresponding proof of payment. Within Service 3, there is only one situation regarding the invoice, and because in this case you can benefit from Service 3 only if you are asking if you are going to register a patent application throughout the legal service provided you by an IP patent attorney. So in this case, the valid IP patent attorney to be eligible within IPA4SME program must include information about the name of the patent attorney who provides you the service, then the patent application process, namely the title of the invention or the IP being protected, and the invoice must include also the EPO patent application number or a statement regarding the decision to discontinue the patent application process. Also, in this case, it's really important that the invoice is issued after the date of the communication of award. I would like also to highlight that we are going to validate all invoices that are issued from an IP patent attorney entitled to act before the EPO. In the guide of beneficiary, you will find a specific link which will allow you to check if the patent attorney who are going to request you the service appears or not in the EPO list of professional representatives. However, please keep in mind that usually almost all the patent lawyer office, at least they have one person that is entitled to act before the EPO. So don't be worried because usually at least one person is entitled to act before the EPO. So again, to validate the IP patent attorney invoice, beneficiary can be only reimbursed once they provide us an invoice which contains the name of the patent attorney who provides you the service, which must be entitled to act before the EPO. Then the invoice must include information about the title of the invention or the IP being protected, and also information about the EPO patent application number or a statement regarding the decision to discontinue patent application process. As regard to the decision to discontinue the patent application process, at the end of this guide, in Annex 1, you will find a model statement that you have to fill in and provide us by ENS. So, together with the invoice, we must also collect the corresponding proof of payment that, as said before, we are going to accept only bank transfer receipts, which clearly indicate the name of the beneficiary, the IP patent attorney, and the invoice number. Only in this case, we are going to accept the proof of payment. Once we collect this documentation, in case the documentation meets all the requirements, all in this case, we are going to mark the documentation as valid. All in this case, the service tree can be considered activated. Once we validate the documentation, also in this case, EMS will to upload the financial information, and as soon as possible, we are going to reimburse you. Also within service tree, beneficiary will have the opportunity to request to reimbursement. So please keep in mind that in the case you are going to request a second reimbursement, in this case we have to provide us all the invoices and the proof of payment available, because otherwise it will not be allowed to you to provide documentation in a third time. I would like to highlight that in order to facilitate the revision of the documentation, we kindly ask you to provide on EMS all the documentation uploaded in a single PDF or zip file. You are free to provide the documentation separately, but if you can, please upload all the documentation that you think is important that we are going to revise in a single PDF or zip file. I would like also to point out that in case we are going to revise the documentation and we notice that some information are missing or there is something that is not valid, we are going always to send you an email in which we are going to explain you what you can do to activate the service. So, for example, you can happen that information about the patent attorney is missing. In this case, we are going to contact you and to tell, hey, please provide us as soon as possible the name of the patent attorney. And so we are trying to do our best in order to reimburse you. So, but again, even if in the case, unfortunately, the documentation is not valid and there isn't anything you can do to activate the service, also in this case, we are going to contact you and to explain you that unfortunately, and we regret that the service cannot be activated. So we can move to chapter 6 that is also important that the beneficiary understand. That is the final important rules for payment request. So please keep in mind that the key basic IPA4SME univocal correspondence is that for each patent application process, you can only request reimbursement for one patent application. So every application will be for a unique European patent. In other words, when IPA4SME select an application, this is just for one single European patent. So in case you as beneficiary have several patent application processes in the pipeline, the only way to receive reimbursement for all these patent applications is to submit several IPA4SME applications, and you can do this during the same cutoff date or in future ones. So, for example, if I am the company CARSA, and if apply only one time during cutoff 6, I can receive reimbursement only for one single patent. So if, for example, I am always the company CARSA and I have 3 patent applications for which I really desire to receive reimbursement, but I applied only one time, what I have to do is to wait the next cutoff call, that in this case will be cutoff 7, and in this case I should apply 2 times in order to receive reimbursement for the 2 missing patent applications. Please keep in mind at this point because since one of the most important requirements to validate the documentation is the date, if we apply only one time and you provide us documentation related to 3 different patent applications, we can only validate 1 out of 3. But since you completing all the process of registration, when you are going to apply it again during the next cutoff, since the invoice are issued before the date of the communication of award of cutoff 7, in this case we cannot do anything to validate the documentation. So again, please keep in mind that documentation provided by the beneficiary to claim partial reimbursement must only refer and contain information about one single patent. So in the guide for beneficiary, we will also find information about the procedure to cancel the support documentation. And again, cancellation of one or more support service will not affect any other current or future service the beneficiary may have or receive. And you will also find information about the model statement of discontinued patent application process, as well as the support service cancellation model. So, as I said before taking consideration your question, I'm going to present you the frequently asked question presentation. So just give me a second to activate it. So I think everybody can see now my new screen. So let's move. Thank you, Andrea, to confirm me. So frequently asked question. First question. So is there any time limitation for justifying EPO and IP patent attorney fee after a SME has been selected for support under IPA4SME? Yes, as explained you 2 times, this question is regard especially who benefit from service 2 and service 3. There is a specific time frame. Beneficiary must activate the support service within 4 months of the date of communication of the award. Activate the service means to provide us on EMS portal valid documentation which meets specific requirement, and valid documentation consists of an invoice together with the corresponding proof of payment. Once activated, beneficiary will have until the end of the IPA4SME project to make a second request for reimbursement. If a beneficiary does not activate the service award within 4 months, which means within the 8th of February, in this case, the support will be automatically cancelled. But furthermore, in the event that a beneficiary has been awarded both service 2 and service 3 during the same cutoff call, the activation of either one of the support service will automatically extend the time for the activation of the other service by an additional 4 months. So I am company CARSA, I am able to activate the service 2 in time, but since since I has been awarded also with service 3, automatically I will have 4 months more to provide documentation to activate the service 3. Since I am a beneficiary of cutoff 6, I will have until the 8th of June to activate the missing service. Question number 2. I'm already working with an IP patent attorney. Are her costs reimbursable? Before to answer to this question, I would like to point out that you can benefit from service 1 also with one of the experts that the coordination center or the national IP office offer you. Instead, as regard to service 2 or service 3, you can request the legal service to the patent attorney that as you wish. The only important information, the only important point is that the patent attorney must be a professional entitled to act before the EPO. So again, service 1, you can complete service 1 only with one of the experts that we are going to offer you. For service 2 and service 3, you can complete the service with all the benefit, all the with the patent attorney that you want. So again, for IP patent attorney fee, in this case, answering to question number 2, the person issuing the invoice must be a professional entitled to act before the EPO, who has been hired by the SME for the purpose of preparing the filing of a European patent, or at least a PCT patent application being drawn through the EPO. So, if we are going to receive a patent application that are not filing from a professional entitled to act before the EPO, in this case, unfortunately, the invoice cannot be validated. But don't be worried, because usually almost all the patent attorney office, at least one person working there is eligible to act before the EPO. So the link to check if the patent attorney is entitled to act before the EPO can be found at page 90. Question number 3. All type of patents are eligible in the IPA4SME support? Unfortunately not. Our support exclusively covers European patent registration process, which for the purpose of the IPA4SME is defined as filing an application for a patent before the EPO covering more than 2 European member states. As I said before, we are going to consider also PCT patent application, but only if the registration is done through the EPO. So the key is that every application should be done through the EPO. Therefore, if we are going to receive patent application to protect the IP in countries like USA, China, Brazil, or other countries that are not European, that are not European countries, in this case, we are not going to validate your patent. We are not going to validate your documentation. So again, only patent that the registration is done through the EPO. Question number 4. What if a service to beneficiary SME does not have a EPO patent application number yet? It's happened at different times in the past that beneficiary doesn't have this this patent application number 3, because usually not in all the case beneficiary, for example, because for example, if you decide to discontinue your patent application, in this case you will never have the EPO patent application number. So in this case, if the beneficiary received a legal advice from an IP patent attorney, but they not have an EPO patent application number, in this case, to qualify the reimbursement, we must collect all the information regarding the name of the patent attorney and the patent application process. That in this case will be the title of the invention. This information will be enough for us. So, question number 5. Is there any specific order for service implementation? No, as I said at the beginning of this presentation, there is no mandatory order for the implementation of the service. SME do not have to wait until the end of the EP pre-diagnostic service, for example, to start benefiting from co-financing service. However, as I said before, I strongly recommend you to complete service 1 before to activate or to benefit from service 2 and service 3. Because the role of service 1 is to provide you a possible suggestion or information that can help you to understand if is let's say beneficial from you to register your patent application through EPO. Question number 6, what is service activation? As I said, different times, service activation benefit from service 2 and service 3 does not mean that service 2 or service 3 is activated. To activate service 2 or 3, you have to provide us on EMS valid documentation. Valid documentation consists of an invoice together with the corresponding proof of payment, which must meet all the requirements included in the guide for beneficiary. Question number 7 is regard to the guide for beneficiary. I skip this question because, as I said before, at the end of the webinar, between today or tomorrow, Andrea is going to send you an email including the guide for beneficiary, the link to the link of the recording webinar, and also this presentation. So all the people that follow today, they are going to receive automatically the guide for beneficiary. In any case, you can find it on EMS by visiting my call section in my area menu. Please, it's strongly recommended to carefully read the guide for beneficiary. Question number 8, is VAT subject of reimbursement? No, VAT costs are not taken into account for the reimbursement calculation. This is especially regarding service 3. So please keep in mind that when we are going to reimburse you, we are not going to consider the VAT cost. We should SME contact if they need help with the application process. Please keep in mind that you can contact us with one of the 2 following emails. You will have at your disposal calls at IPA4SME.eu, but you will have also a help desk at IPA4SME.eu. You can use both of these two emails to contact us if you are facing any problems or if you have any doubts. You can follow us on the different channels like Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The consortium is consists of CARSA, University of Alicante, GOPA.com. Thank you very much, and I'm going now to take in consideration your question. So, as Andrea explained you at the beginning, I'm going to answer you the question. I will understand that explanation will take much time, I will skip the question and I will answer you later on via email. So,
thank you, Marco. Maybe I can repeat again what you just mentioned, just to make sure that everyone understood and heard. So if you have any questions, now it's the time for you to put them in the question box. So please don't hesitate. Thank you.
thank you very much, Andreas. So, just give me a second. So, question number, let's start with Paul Lefkens. Can you ask for a certain patent attorney to be assigned as an expert? Our own attorney. Mr. Lefkens, depends on the service. As I said before, if you are beneficiary of service 1, the only expert that you can use to complete the EP pre-diagnostic service is the attorney that we are offering you. Instead, as service 2 or service 3, you can choose the patent attorney that you prefer. But again, please be sure that this attorney is entitled to act before the EPO. Then, question from Sion Lee. Sorry if sometimes I'm wrong your surname and name. He asking me, our company is based in Germany. We already contacted an expert and scheduled an initial meeting. Is still okay to proceed, not waiting from Germany IP office to assign a designated expert to us? Mr. Lee, this is regarding question service 1. Germany company, they received the last week an email from the coordination center with a list of the possible experts that you can choose to schedule a possible initial meeting. So if you contact one of the experts included in this list, you can proceed with with scheduling a possible meeting. But again, you can proceed only using one of the experts that we offered you. So, question from Michele Paulino. If a company has an existing IP in a country, France for instance, could the filling cost to EPO be mapped to activate service 2? Dear Mr. Paulino, as I said before, activate service 2, not all the EPO fee costs are eligible to be reimbursed. So, in case during the registration you covered one of the EPO included in the table 2, that I'm going to repeat, are code 001 to 56733, if in the invoice is included information regarding one of these EPO fee, all in this case we are going to reimburse the cost. So in case you are going to provide us an invoice containing information about EPO fee, let's say 50, we unfortunately this EPO fee are not eligible to be reimbursed. So then let's go to the question from Sandra Sasso. What is the reimbursement limit, a percentage of service 2? Mr. Sasso, please keep in mind that for service 2, we are going to reimburse the 75% of the EPO cost up to a maximum of €2,500. per patent application. So in case you are in the pipeline 5 patent application, every time we are going to reimburse you the 75% up to a maximum of 2,500 euros. As regard to service 3, I will say that the reimbursable is we are going to reimburse the 50% of the cost related to the IP patent attorney up to a maximum of euro 2,000. Another question from Sandra Sasso. What if you pay monies on account to the patent attorney and they apply to the invoice as they raise them? How you can show the proof of payment? As I said before, Ms. Sasso, sorry, to validate the reimbursement, we must collect bank transfer receipts. That must show us the name of the patent attorney or the name of the patent agency who received the payment, the name of the beneficiary, and the amount. And the amount should be equal to the amount included in the invoice. In case the amount, for example, is higher than the amount included in the invoice for a specific situation, please, in this case, you have to provide us also a document in which you are going to explain us the reason why the amount is not the same corresponding to the invoice. This is the reason why I kindly ask you that in case you want to activate a service, together with the corresponding proof of payment and the invoice, in case of specific situation, is also recommended to provide us a document that explain clearly what is your situation. But we need to collect this information to validate the service. Christian Paun, does the IP attorney needs to be in the country of the beneficiary? Again, service 1, you can complete the service only with one of the experts we are going to offer you. As regard to service 2 and service 3, you can choose the IP patent attorney that you wish. The only important thing is that is entitled to act before EPO. So if you are, for example, Ms. Pound located in England, you can decide to fill in your patent application. You can decide to ask the legal service from an expert that is working in Spain or in Italy, whenever you want. The only important thing is that he or she must be entitled to act before the EPO. Question from Mr. Günther Grau. Can multiple invoices be collected in second request for a reimbursement, or is it limited to 2 invoices per patent? No. Mr. Grau, the limitation is regarding the payment request. In both cases, you can provide us all the invoices available, together with the corresponding proof of payment. So also during the first request for reimbursement, in case you have 2 invoices which must be associated to the same patent application, in this case you can provide us all the invoices that you have, even if you are still in the first request of reimbursement. But again, the invoices must be associated to the same patent application, which means same EP number or same title of invention. So always from Mr. Grove, if patent attorney cost for preparation of a patent application without having them filled to the EPO cannot be submitted to activate service 3 because there is no EPO number. Yes, as I said during the frequently asked question, can happen that at different time the beneficiary does not collect yet the EPO number application because they never submit yet the patent registration, they never submit yet the patent to be registered through the IPO. In this case, as tried to explain you before, if you don't have this number to activate service 3, we need just an invoice including information regarding the patent attorney, the name of the patent attorney, and the title of the invention. These information are enough for us. Service always from Mr. Grau. Question: can Service 1 include advisory to IP defense or making a strategy to make a claim against a supposed patent violation? I will say that you can ask EP patent application, I think, but I'm not sure that the expert is going also to answer or to provide you information about advisory to IP defense or provide you information to boost your strategy. As I said before, this is the reason why usually the meeting with the expert can take between 2 or 4 hours, because depending on the question that you have in the pipeline, the discussion with the expert can take and be longer. But I think that the expert is going to also answer you this question, or at least to tell you something that can be help you to boost your strategy or to or advisory about the IP defense. Then question from Miss Gerson Maliaga. Can more than one person manage a company application, meaning having access to the same application in the platform? If so, how do you do that? So, Mr. Aliaga, yes, many persons can manage the company application, but it's also true that on the other hand, we can provide only one email for beneficiary. So in case different person want to manage the company application, the only things that you can do is to share this email together with the password to all the people that want to manage the company application. So, but again, we cannot provide more than 2 email to each company. So again, the only thing that you can do is to share this information with your colleagues. So as I said before, some questions I'm going to answer you via email because are really specific. So question from Mr. Peter Skagerlind. Service 3, you said 50% and max €2,000 patent. How many patents? So yes, 50% of reimbursement up to a maximum of €2,000 per patent. How many patents? For service 2, you can provide us not more than 5 patent applications. For service 3, you can provide us all, you can request reimbursement for all the patents that you want. So in case you are in the pipeline 10 patents, you can request, you must apply 10 different times during the same cutoff or during a different cutoff, and you can receive reimbursement for all the patents that you have in the pipeline. Instead, for service 2, the limit is 5. The limit is that the beneficiary can request reimbursement only to a maximum of 5 patent applications. So A question from Pedro Carrero: is there equivalent program for trade secret with are being copied in China, as for example? I'm sorry, I don't know if there is an equivalent program for trade secret. This is what I know is just that IPA4SME is only going to help companies that want to register a patent application throughout IPO. So our service exclusively covers European patent application. So question from Minaki Garcia: if we are beneficiary only with the EP pre-diagnostic service, and during the service 1 we discover that we want or continue with the patent, can we apply for service 2 inside this call 6? Mr. Minaki Garcia, I'm sorry, but you cannot do it. So you cannot apply for service 2 inside this cutoff call, because the application process is closed. So in case after service 1 the expert suggests you to benefit from service 2 and service 3, the only thing that you can do is to wait, is to apply it again during the cutoff 7. Please keep in mind that we plan to have other 3 cutoff call, and the last one is the cutoff call 9, and the deadline the 31 of May. But yeah, again, the only thing that you can do is to apply in the next cutoff call 7, and I think the application process is already opened. So if you're interested, you can already provide us the seal of excellence and the evaluation summary report to apply during the cutoff call 7. Then question from Celine Estienni: we are Italian startup, also set up a meeting with an expert on 26. Should we do the IPA4SME self-assessment before the meeting? Yes. If you didn't complete the IPA4SME self-assessment, please do it. In case, I will send you later on an email including the link that you have to click on in order to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. So don't be worried, I will send you the link later on this webinar. Really nice question from Miss Laure Neuberger. Do we need to communicate the recommendation, which means the conclusion of the report, to the European Commission, or we can keep it confidential? This question is regarding service 1. I would like to point out that the report that you are going to receive is confidential. So all the recommendations that you are going to receive in the report are only for you, and the European Commission does not have to receive it. So again, all the information included in the report that you are going to receive from the expert is only for you. They are totally confidential, and you doesn't have to send this information to the European Commission. They are totally protected, and for us it's really important that experts respect this. For these reasons, we have a specific contract with them in which we are going to point out that the information included in the report should be confidential, and all you as a beneficiary can benefit from this. Question from Miss William Gross: for service 2 and service 3, the all important date is the date of the final invoice, being dated after the October 8th, not the date of the beginning of the work. Exactly. The only date for us that is important to check is the date when the invoice is issued, which must be dated after the date of the communication of award, that for beneficiary of cutoff 6 is the 8th of October, which means that if we already started the process, for example, as you said, they started mid of September, for us is not a problem. Because a lot of time can happen that, especially when a beneficiary is interested to register the patent application, a lot of time can happen that the process, the preliminary study, but also the registration can take more than 2, 3, 4 months. It's a long process, but the invoice will be only after at the end of the process. So again, for us, it's not a problem if the process of registration started in June, for example. The only important thing is that the invoice, the date included in the invoice, must be dated after the communication of award date. A question from Rai Kirwan. Does the reimbursement cover the cost of international patent application at the European Patent Office? I will answer you like this. If we are talking about service 2, international patent application fee, I think, but I'm not sure, should be called 125. So if this IPO fee is recognized as IPO fee codes 125. And since it's not included in the table that I showed you before, we cannot reimburse this cost. But for service 3, yeah, because service 3, we are going to cover all the costs related to hiring an IP patent attorney in order to register your patent application to IPO. So as regard to this question, in this case, if you are going to provide us an invoice including official costs related to the IPO and also the professional costs related to the patent attorney, we reimburse you only the costs related to the professional cost, but not the costs related to the official fee, because international patent application costs are not one of the IPO eligible in our program. I will skip some questions because I already answered this. Question from Peter Collert. Our company is from Sweden, but we are not receiving any list of IP experts yet. Should I wait more or contact the coordination center? No, Mr. Collert, because this afternoon we are going to send you the information about the expert assigned to you. Some SME already received it. For example, Ireland received it yesterday, and but for example, Italy, SME located in Italy and in Sweden, they are going to receive this information this afternoon. So please be patient. With this afternoon, you will receive the information about the expert assigned to you. Again, Laura Neuburger, what is the reimbursement limit for service 3 for patent application? Is 50%. We are going to reimburse the 50% of the cost up to a maximum of 2,000 euros per patent application. Question from Peter Indowski related to cutoff call 5. Activation of service 3 is considered valid only after sending the IP patent attorney payment, the proof of payment document, all before the 7th November of 2020. Yes, see, basically for all the beneficiary of cutoff call 5, they receive the communication of award the 7th of July 2020. So also in your case, you will have 4 months to activate the service, which means the 7th of November. So please provide us documentation within the 7th of November to activate the service. In this case, as I said, different time, you must provide us the invoice together with the proof of payment. A question from Catalina Olivos. Yeah, for service 2, the patent application can be a PCT application using IPO. Thank you very much, Ms. Catalina, to ask me this, because I think that I forget or to say that in service 2, there are, I think, 3 PCT fee that corresponds to the same IPO fee. I think, but I'm not sure, that IPO fee 005, 006 sure are the same for PCT fee. So in this case, we can reimburse the cost related to these 2 PCT fee because they are the same of the IPO. In case, I will share with you also the PCT fee that can be reimbursed within service 2, in order that to clarify if you can benefit from service 2, even if you decide to register a PCT application. But again, also in this case, the PCT application should be registered through IPO. A question from Peter Indowski. After activation of service 3, the deadline for activation of service 2 will be extended for additional 4 months. Is that correct? Yes, it's correct, but also only if you receive both service 2 and service 3 during the same cutoff. So if you receive both service 2 and service 3, if you activate service 3, automatically you will receive additionally 4 months to activate service 2. Question from Laura Neuberg. Can we change the email for the management of the application in the EMS? Sure, you can change your email, and to do it, what you have to do is to send a request to the email calls@IPA4SME.eu, asking us to replace the email. And please, in this email, please provide us also information about the new email that we have to, the email that we have to replace. And in this case, we are going to talk with our IT specialists to ask this change. But yes, you can do it without any problem. Then, question from Anna Jena Spets. Can you confirm that IPA4SME is only for a new initial filling cost, not when you are in the examination but the examination phase? Miss Anna Jena Spets, no, it's not true. I will again going to share the guide. Just give me a second. Okay. Service number 2, as you can see in this table, are eligible not only the IPO filling fee, which means 001, but we are going also to cover the cost related to examination fee 006, designation fee 005, also cost related to renewal fee for the 3rd year, which is 0033, 007, that is fee for grant printing, and the fee for a European search. So please keep in mind that we are not going to cover all in filling fee, but also designation fee, examination fee, fee for European search, fee for grant and printing, and renewal fee for the 3rd year. Then move again to the question. I think we are quite close. Question from Gerson Aliaga. When do we expect the National AP Office expert will get in touch with the company? Depend on you. I will say depend when you are going to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment, and depend in which country you are located, Ms. Aliaga. If you can provide me quickly the information of your country, I will let you know when you should receive the mail of the expert regarding the information of the expert assigned to you. I think I finished it. Again, so I skipped some questions because they are really long and I need my time to answer you and also to think about the answer. So, but again, thank you very much, Aliaga. I will answer you. But again, after this meeting, you are going to receive by Andrea the guide, the presentation, together with the link to recording, and together with information that can be useful for you to understand how the process works. Again, every time that you have a problem, you can contact us to one of the two emails that I told you before, for any doubts, uncertainties, for any problem that are you facing. Usually within 2-3 days, we are going to answer you. Anyway, can happen that sometimes we are receiving dozen of emails, so can happen that we are not able timely and physically to answer you to all of the emails that we are receiving. But in case you are noticing that after 3-4 days, 5 days, we didn't receive any answer, please send us again your request, because sometimes can happen that without any indication we skip your request. From Gerson Aliaga, since you are located in Netherlands, in your case is the national IP office which should provide you the expert. So in this case, what you have to do is to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. In case you already completed it, I'm going to check if we received this documentation, and I'm going to send this documentation this afternoon to the national IP office, which must contact you as soon as possible. They received the IPA4SME self-assessment. In case you completed the IPA4SME assessment, but you are not going to receive any email from the Dutch national IP office within 1 week from today, please contact us, because in this case we can contact the national IP office and try to make them hurry in order to provide you as soon as possible as an expert. But again, I'm going to collect the IPA4SME self-assessment every 2-3 days, and once I collected, I inform the national IP office. So if you don't complete the IPA4SME self-assessment, I cannot send this document to the national IP office, and I think the national IP office is not going to contact you. So please complete the survey. In case you are not able to find the link, please contact us, and I will provide you, me or one of my colleagues, we are going to provide you the link to complete the IPA4SME self-assessment. I will say thank you very much to everybody. I hope that I was clear. It was not easy to explain you everything, but again, in any case, we are facing a problem. So if we have a specific doubts, please contact us, and we are going to do our best to help you to benefit the most that you can from service 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. It was a really pleasure, and again, welcome on board of IPA4SME program. Have a fantastic day. See you.
Thank you very much, Marco, and thank you everyone for attending.